Hi everybody, I'm Dan Ramey. Welcome back. This is Litter Media Live, a special edition, and we have with us the new head football coach of Chillicothe High School. He's not a new guy, though. We'll tell you more about him. It is Scott Bartholomew right after this. New leadership for the Chillicothe Cavalier football program, and he is no stranger to this area at all. Scott Bartholomew, congratulations and welcome to Chillicothe now.
Oh, thank you very much, Dan. I appreciate that.
I know at one point in time we thought you might be here earlier than this.
Yeah, I did interview the last time, I guess 2 times ago when it was open, and there was a gentleman that had quite a few wins and a couple state titles that beat me out in the interview. So, that's the way it goes sometimes. You just move on,
Yeah. It goes back to that old Amanda Clear Creek Logan Elm rivalry, right?
Yeah, Ron and I had some really good battles.
Yes,
but he's a great guy and a great competitor.
For folks who do not know who you are, you of course cut your teeth in South Central Ohio, Southeast Ohio as well. First head coaching was at Oak Hill?
Yes, I graduated from Taze Valley in 1980. Classmate Dan Ramey.
Alumnus right here.
From there I went to Wilmington College where I played 4 years of baseball and then kind of fell into a job in Oak Hill. And it was kind of funny. At 22 you think you know everything. And I got there and had the old style superintendent, and he told me I was a junior high football coach, junior high basketball coach, and head baseball coach. I said, that's great. Before school started, I was a varsity football assistant. I was the JV basketball coach and the head baseball coach. And that's just the way it went back in those days. The superintendent just told you what you were going to do, and you did it because you needed a job and starting a family. So, but it progressed to where that was my first experience as a head coach. I served 6 years as an assistant, then 8 years there as the head coach. And at that point, I moved on came back from Pickaway County because that's where I was from, and took the Westfall job. 1998, 99, and I was there for 10 years. And I kind of stepped back in 2007 thinking I wanted to go into administration. And after about game 2 of sitting on the sidelines in 2007, then my wife looked at me and she says, "You're not done coaching, are you?" And I said, "No." So I just had to wait for a job to open up to apply for, and that was the Logan Elm job. And I spent 7 years there, only retiring because of the state guidelines for teachers and the fact that my son got a job close enough I could go to work with him. So the last 7 years I've been an assistant coach for my son, which is another experience that we could probably spend hours talking about.
Yeah, the last couple of years they've reached the state semifinals at Bloom-Carroll for the last couple of seasons, and Wade is he's on the search for a job right now. Right?
Sometime during the end of this week, everybody will know.
Okay.
Dad and Wade know, but we're just kind of waiting. He has to wait until I think Friday to let anybody else know.
Now, the thing was, Wade learned from Dad sitting, watching game film, but he also played for you at Westfall.
We have a unique situation. Wade and I grew up together doing football. I have a son and 3 girls. My girls all love football, but Wade was he was a football junkie. We went to, when he was in 6th and 7th grade, we went to playoff games and he would take notes and all that stuff. So he's been about it. So then I had the opportunity to coach him. And then he went to college, came back out of college, and he coached with me. And then he went off and got himself a job, and he ended up at Bloom-Carroll. The 1 year that I was still at Logan Elm, we played each other. And just to let you know, I'm 1-0, so. That's one thing. There's a lot of things he's going to get me on, but that's not it, because we'll never play again.
In a game that you keep score, you keep records as well, right?
So, and then I worked for him. So it's been a full circle, and it's been a great joy for me. Coaching is such a passion of mine anyways, and to be able to share that with your son in that way and all those different ways, it's special. I hope he enjoyed it as much as I did, and I know you say that he learned from me, but in these last 7 years, I think I learned as much from him and the way he ran his program to dealing with the new generation of kids and how they think and how you treat them and those kind of things. So I hope he learned as much from me as I did from him in the last 7 years.
In fact, when we had a Litter Media Game of the Week with Bloom-Carroll earlier this year against, ironically, Taze Valley, it looked to me the quarterback for Bloom-Carroll had a lot of characteristics that Wade had as a player and game management and all.
KJ was such a smart kid, and people think you have to have these big monstrous guys, or and it's great if you have that, but if you don't, KJ was 5'8", 165 pounds, but what he did, he managed the game so well. He was smart. He knew, what defenses were doing. He knew who to get the ball to and what was going on. He understood, his role in the team. And he would run the ball when he had to, but most of the time he just facilitated everything out to everybody else.
A couple of years ago, during one of the playoff runs for the Blue Dogs, you came here to Chillicothe to play Waverly. Now, this would be a few years removed from when you were last interviewed for this position. Yes. Did juices kind of get flowing a little bit?
It's such a beautiful stadium. I mean, what they've done here with their football, with this field house, and I know that it's been here a while, but it's just maintained well. And in the stadium out there, the scoreboard, the turf, the bleachers, the space around it, it's such an attractive venue that it's what high school football should look like.
Yeah. And at that point in time, Bloom-Carroll was the home team, so you were inside this field house preparing for that contest.
Yeah, and it's the first time I'd been in here as a team. I've been in here many times as a coach with the clinics and things like that, and sometimes we just, on the Christmas break, we'd open the doors. One of the Seymour boys or Ron or Coach Arndt or someone, they'd open the doors and said, hey, we're going to meet on Saturday, and there'd be 8 or 10 of us coming here, and we'd spend all afternoon just talking football. So, yeah, I've been here many times, but that was the first time as a team.
Yeah. You've had an opportunity to meet the kids, meeting them just earlier today before we sat down.
Due to COVID, I wasn't able to get like a parent-player meeting, in the evenings to get them all together, and with Christmas break and everything, it made it tough. So today, as they walked into the weight room for the first time, I was meeting them for the first time. So we're still on the run trying to get to know names and personalities, but I was real pleased with the effort and the attitude and the way they approach things today.
I will have to say, over the years of watching you coach and getting a chance to see behind the scenes some of the relationship that you have with your players, it is truly a family atmosphere.
It is, and it has to be. I mean, I think that, relationships are more important than X's and O's. X's and O's will only go so far. I mean, once you build those relationships with the kids and they trust you and they trust that you care about them, they're going to go further for you. They're going to run through that wall for you. And so I think that's the kind of coach you have to be. And then, once you get them to buy into who you are and what you want the team to be and that you care about them, then the X and O's come into play and we see where we need to go from there.
Familiarity is key to making the good transition. You've got some coaches that will be on the staff that were with previous programs.
I couldn't be more pleased. My wife, I got the job, it was on I don't even know what day of the week it was. But 5 days later, I was in my 12th interview with different people that had called me that wanted to have an opportunity to coach here. Whether it was to come here because of Chillicothe or come here to coach with me, it didn't matter to me. I just one of those things so I was very busy the next couple of days interviewing, and I've been very pleased with the people that have been interested in this, and the people that I've put together, I'm very satisfied with them, excited. It was kind of funny, you talk about the family atmosphere and things, and this might be wrong for some people, but when I told them to come in for an interview, they said, well, what do you need us to bring? I said, nothing. Don't bring a thing. I said, I don't want to do X's and O's. I want to meet you as a person. I want to meet you as a individual. I want to see how you communicate and see whether your personality is going to gel with my personality, to see if I think you can communicate with kids. If you can communicate with kids, then you can coach football. It doesn't matter how much football you know if you can't get it across to the individuals. So we spent a lot of times, they laughed at me because we went Roosters, Bob Evans, Roosters. So my wife said, well, you're going to run up quite a bill here, and I said, I'm only eating a salad, and they're just getting a few wings. But she said, well, what about your weight? And I said, it'll be all right. We'll worry about that when 1st of January comes.
You've got to track and go laps outdoors.
So
no question there.
It's the New Year's resolution to lose weight, so we're okay.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that staff?
I do. They're all not completely set yet, but the first one that I went to before I even interviewed was Todd Seymour. Todd and I have a great relationship. He was my defensive coordinator at Westfall with all the success that we had had there. And when I went to Logan Elm, I asked him to come with me, and he came with me to Logan Elm, and we had a lot of success there until the point he came back to Chillicothe to coach, because he graduated from here, grew up here, and his son was going to start in the football program. And I felt like I enjoyed that opportunity to coach my son. I felt like Todd should too. So I actually kind of encouraged him to move on, and he took the job here, and things have worked out for him, but we kind of made a full circle. I'm back now, and so we're back together. So that's one, and I'm real comfortable with him. Eddie Johnson is a teacher here, and this is something that's real important for me, teachers in the building. And you don't see it very much today, and you go around football staffs and you'll have maybe one or two people in the building, and I think it's so important for the kids to see these people, individuals, as teachers. So Eddie is a teacher here at the high school. He took a couple years and went to Amanda, and so he's going to come back. Matt Crawford is a teacher here. He's a first-year guy this past year, so this will be his second year. He's from Pennsylvania, so he's really just now getting familiar with the area. I laughed when I took him to Roosters in Circleville. We met there because he had just moved he was downtown High Street. He lived there all last year.
Oh my.
And he would drive here every day. And then some Friday nights after games, he was here till way after midnight and would drive home and get back for the JV game the next morning. So he was in the process of moving into Circleville at that time. And I said, well, we'll meet at Roosters. And I'd explain to him where exactly he'd never been to a Roosters. So, and
hard
he,
to miss on
so we found it. So Matt's a young guy, but he's enthusiastic and going to do a good job. And then another Chillicothe grad is Alex Groh. I think he's in his second year. I think he's doing JV basketball right now. So Alex hadn't been around as much, but met him and really enjoyed his personality and excited. I think he has a way of communication. I think he's going to fit in well with us. A boy that I brought from, this young man, I shouldn't say boy. He was a boy when I coached him at Logan Elm, Anthony Wagner. I think he had helped here a couple years when Ron was here, and maybe baseball a couple years for Coach Seymour. He now works at Kingston National Bank, and I've asked him to come along, and so he's, excited about coming back, and so he's going to be an addition. A couple volunteers, Jason Jones and Brad Sprague they both were part of the staff last year. They're going to volunteer and come back, and then of course Murph was going to retire, so we got Murph back in the equipment room, which is probably the most important position, including mine. So it's nice to have them. And I got a couple more guys that just waiting to make a decision that I'm pretty sure they're going to, but I don't want to say their names yet till I know that everything's going to work out for them in their positions and where they're at. So really excited about the way they complement each other and their personalities. And one of the things you have to do, you put so many hours in, you have to have fun. And if you're not having fun and enjoy it, don't kid yourself. The kids know you're not getting along. And when they know you're not getting along, then it makes for turmoil in practice. So the fact that we all get along and the kids can see that's going to go a long way.
Yeah. You have some kids that are playing basketball, some that are wrestling right now. Haven't really had a chance to communicate with them just as yet, but with Alex Groh being on the basketball side of things, I'm sure the introduction is going to happen soon.
It is, and I'm going to, the game, I got a couple games coming up here, the home games, 3 in a row, I believe, and I'm going to try to get to all 3 of them. I'm not going to bother the kids during their basketball game, but hopefully I get a chance to see them and get to know their names and things like that and who they are. But, I'm a big fan of kids playing other sports. They got to enjoy it. They're kids. Try not to do too much in the summer. We're going to work hard and we're going to do a lot, but, kids got to be kids sometimes. And the same with playing other sports. Go play another sport if that's what you want to do. If you want to do extra on top of that, we make time to open up the weight room or whatever it is that you need to do that. But don't be afraid to play another sport.
And you're old school thinking in that way because You were football, you were baseball, you were basketball.
I say I was about 2.5, Dan, because I don't know if you watched too many basketball games. We weren't very good, and I was a starter, but I wasn't very good. Okay.
High tops, the black rim glasses with the tape in the nose.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that was back in the day when before contacts were really functional.
Well, I know you have to be excited to jump back into this. I mean, you've been an assistant coach now for a handful of years.
7.
Did your wife at any point in time say, "What the heck are you thinking?"
You know, a lot of people ask me that. My wife and I knew this was going to happen. When I quit 7 years ago to go work for Wade, I said, if he moves on any time that I'm still healthy, you know I'm going to go back and be a head coach. And she said, yeah, I know. And when I told her I was going to apply for the Chillicothe job, she never said a word. Well, the only complaint she had is, how am I going to go to your games and Wade's games at the same time? And I said, well, you'll just have to go take turns and go from one to the other. So I think that was her biggest issue, is how's she going to watch her son?
Well, Coach Hinton's mom had the same circumstance when he came here. She's like, I've only gone to Amanda Clear Creek games. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we welcome you to Chillicothe. And, of course, Scott and I go back, way back. I think we first met in 1975 or so, something like that.
At least then, yeah.
So, but happy to have you here, and I'm excited for what the kids are going to get to experience.
I'm super excited. I don't know if, after 24 years, I was probably starting to get a little wore down, but the last 7 years of being an assistant, taking a little bit of that, I always tell young coaches, if you enjoy coaching football, don't be a head coach, because all the administrative stuff comes into play. Once I got away from that for a few years, I'm excited about getting back into it, and some of the things that, obviously the administrative things are just what they are. You have to deal with them. You don't have to like them, but you deal with them and you move on with all the paperwork and things like that. But coaching again and being in charge, not only, a lot of people think that it's about just the kids. It is, but for me, it's about my coaches too, because my job is to develop them, and I've been very fortunate. I have 6 individuals that have went off to become head coaches that have coached for me, and I think that's one of the things that I feel so blessed about, because I feel like they were able to learn and move on and have established their own program. For my son to Coach Bisher up at West Jeff, to Coach Dalton at Amanda, Coach Gallagher at Southeastern, Coach Keller was at Huntington, and and so all these guys were guys that worked for me and coached for me, and they moved on, and hopefully some of these guys that are in this staff now can do the same if that's what they desire.
And you get them on your schedule, you know what they do. So
some of them you don't want on your schedule, because one of the things I just told the kids tonight, I said, the way to make your team better is to make the people around you better. As a head coach, your responsibility is, don't try to be everything. Hire the people around you that can make you better. And so I think I've complimented myself with some people that do things very well that maybe I don't do. And so hopefully that'll work out, and we all compliment each other, and hopefully the kids see that and it works out for them too.
Yeah, very good. Scott Bartholomew, he'll be on the sidelines for the Chillicothe Cavaliers in the 2022 football season. Of course, we'll most likely have a Cavalier game on the Litter Media Game of the Week, so we'll be seeing you again soon.
I'm excited. Looking forward to it.